Thank you all for joining me again today. I am enjoying this journey. Not more today than yesterday or more than what may happen in the next day called tomorrow, which never comes. But I'm enjoying even the relation of observations. Again, just to emphasize, I know you're getting tired of me saying this, but I don't create any of these. I've had the experience as you have in your life to receive opportunities, observations, experiences, but you don't create any of them. I know it's getting a little hard to accept the thing about your fate, the good, bad, and ugly of your fate that I have as well, that we cannot predict them. We cannot make it happen. Things do happen, but they seem more relevant and regular and ho-hum once we're aware of our own internal understanding of who and what we are. Until then, it will remain a mystery to, how that happened. But just my little diversion or digression from the main topic for today. Let's get into it. Your open journal of resilience today. The topic today is called planes, trains, ships, and automobiles. Like that movie back in the day, just a little bit different in terms of the statement. Yeah, I could add skateboards, bikes, scooters, e-bikes, unicycles to this picture of other external physical conveyances for you and I to get from here to there. Then, of course, we have to throw in our physical, non-external capacity to get there from here. The non-physical, non-external. I use the title just as a reminder of how we can move our station externally. Those niceties, cars, ships, whatever, are definitely convenient for us to have and to use, maybe to pay for and or to maintain. But regardless of which ones we have at our financial disposal today, we still have to move. We have to move not just the physical, but even our mental and spiritual being from here to there. Or maybe from here to here forward. To get up physically, mentally, spiritually for the journey at hand today, not tomorrow. I remember a fellow soldier in arms and from West Point. We ran into each other at Fort Bragg many, many years ago, almost decades ago. And at that point in time, although we went to school together, we hadn't seen each other for maybe 4 or 5, 6 years. I was sitting there or running or walking or ambling around Fort Bragg, still impressed with my own vanity, my own ego and fear. But it was great seeing my brother Neville that day at West Point, from West Point and at Fort Bragg. I also felt swole from my focus on powerlifting and stuff like that. I probably told Nev that I was in a recent powerlifting contest. I can't say that word. I was in a recent powerlifting contest when I first ran to him at Fort Bragg. But him, Neville, being a true, honest brother, he didn't miss a beat. Hadn't seen him in 5 years, but he said, "Yeah, man, that's great, but your powerlifting thing." He said this, "But you got to move that shit on the battlefield." I'm like, damn. I was like, just taken aback, not shocked, but stunned into reality that he's right. Having great strength means nothing. Nothing. You can't move that machine with speed and efficiency, especially being, paratroopers at Fort Bragg. Yeah, you can do all you can, look as pretty as you want to be, but until you move that thing towards that objective with speed and efficiency, means nothing. You're a target. So yeah, I hated hearing that. At that point in time, my 2-mile run for physical fitness and proof of how fit I was at that time was pretty pedestrian compared to the gazelles I felt before in our daily runs. So, just as a bit of digression, but Nev's statement still rings true to me today and in this episode. So whether by vehicle or otherwise, you gotta move. And that statement applies to the exercise and discipline of your resilience. You gotta make sure you tap into, define, and apply whatever internal energy you have first to the task, the motion, the mission ahead of you. Sometimes I think it goes back to maybe another movie, and they're talking about, I think it was about the naval side, a Navy or diver experience in this movie. But something about this guy who was I think a combat diver for the Navy, and some court proceeding, and somewhere in that conversation, one of the advisors was telling him to prove that you could do it. Even I think he lost a leg or whatever. When you kind of demonstrate that you can move that rig, he would say, "Right that rig, man." That's something that Nev had kind of said to me, when no matter how strong you are, you gotta move that shit. Hey, thanks, Nev. I still call you loser. He'll get that statement when he listens to this podcast. But the statement is still sanguine, it's essential, it's timeless. And keep in mind, just as a recap, this man we had gone through and had successfully graduated from the most prestigious higher education institution in his country, the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. So although we weren't quite close friends there at West Point, even though it's a very small, what I call a community college on the Hudson up in New York, it's still, we ran to each other, and so few of us as black men at that place, we should have known each other quite well. But again, given our quite robust and heavy academic load and military stuff we got to do and things we had to do just to survive, and academically, militarily, everything's got to be done the way it has to be done. We didn't have time to, just hang out at West Point. But it just, to me, it's so encouraging to have run to him 5 years later at Fort Bragg, enjoy seeing him, and then had that exchange that still to this day, which is the purpose for this podcast, this episode, to say, no matter what you do, what you think, how you think, you gotta move. And hopefully with efficiency, speed, accuracy, and without much trouble going forward. Remember, resilience is all about going forward. Thank you so much. Stay present, stay current, and remember, it's still 8:20.